It's your boy John Mike. It's your boy John Mike.
What's going on with you guys? You know who it is. It's your boy John Mike, and today we're going to be doing a head-to-head comparison between the MiniLab MK2 by Arturia and the Launchkey Mini MK3 by Novation. So these are two keyboards in the same price range. You're looking at the $99 range, and they're both competing for your dollars. So you're probably looking at both of these boards saying to yourself, which one of these do I want to get? Which one of these are going to get my investment? So we're going to take a deep look at both of these boards and see what they have to offer and which one you should go with. So the first thing we're going to talk about, of course, is form factor. And if you look at the Arturia, you can tell that it is much thicker and more durably built. This bottom is metal right here. The sides have this little kind of wood grain feel, and it's thicker. The girth, as I say, of it is thicker. It has a thicker and wider build, and it's heavier. It is like a tank, and I talk about this in my initial review of the this MK2. That it was, it feels like you could just throw it upside the wall and it would be okay, because it's just that durable of a build. So if you're looking for durability, something that doesn't feel cheap, that can take a licking and keep on ticking, as they used to say, then you're going to want to go with the MiniLab MK2, because it definitely has the better, stronger, more durable build of the two. Now, the MK3 by the Launchkey, it does have, just the standard kind of keyboard build, plastic, but it's smaller though. So if you're looking for something that has a smaller form factor that can fit in your bag, that just slides in and out effortlessly, then this is definitely something that you want to go with in terms of that form factor. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is control, because that's the next thing that people look at is like, what can I control with it? What can it do with my software and all that good stuff like that? So the Arturia offers you 16 endless kind of encoders or knobs. Some people call them encoders, some people call them knobs, but they just kind of move endlessly. If you're using the Analog Lab software, then you have another level of functionality with it. This is a clickable knob, so it actually clicks. And it turns so you can use it to select presets and do things like that and make like actions without having to use a mouse. So that's a +1 for the Arturia in terms of control if you're just going to be using Analog Lab Lite. But it has some shift functions that you can do with it. From my playing with it, it's kind of limited. It's not really like really in depth like shift functions like the Novation, like I'll show in a minute. But you have some few advanced functions and stuff that you can do. But it has the slider on it, the pitch bend and my wheel slider, which I talk about. You guys know how I feel about it. And you have 8 pads that you can kind of do something with. So take that for what it's worth. That's pretty much the level of control. There's no transport buttons. There's nothing like that inside on this one that gives you, any other level of control beyond the knobs and the pads. Now, with the Launchkey, you got a little bit more control. You got a transport button, you got an arpeggiator button, you got a fixed chord mode, which I talk all about these in depth in my initial review of this board. But you also, if you're an Ableton user, you have clip control, and you can control your scenes and do all those things like that. You have a transpose button, a shift button that gets you to all of these advanced functions right here on this board. An octave button, you have 8 knobs, and you have pitch bend and mod wheel sliders. Now, the Arturia is going to be a little bit more ubiquitous when it comes to multiple DAW functionality. Like when I plugged it up to Logic, it automatically mapped, no issues, just linked up, and I could control EXS, I could control any of my softwares with it automatically. And it did the same thing pretty much in Ableton. So it has that automatic, kind of mapping, no matter what DAW. Well, there's some DAWs it doesn't work with, but software, it will definitely map up with your software and work. So it's a little bit more ubiquitous when it comes to that. Whereas the Launchkey, you can make it work in Logic, you can make it work in Studio One and other DAWs, but it is primarily set up to work inside of Ableton. It is geared towards the Ableton heads, but you know, the other functions, the transport, the arpeggio, the fixed chord mode, all of those little advanced functions down here, they work no matter what DAW you're working in because they are functions of the keyboard. So that is the benefit of the Launchkey over this, because it gives you actual hardware buttons that do things, versus this is strictly software. The only thing that's really hardware dependent is the octave buttons, you know what I'm saying? But this offers you some kind of hardware buttons that do things regardless of what software or what, you know, DAW or whatever you're working in. You can still use this. So those are some things that kind of function in on the control. Now on the subject of in and out, the Arturia has just a sustain pedal and the standard MIDI jack, whereas the Launchkey gives you not only a sustain input, but it also gives you a MIDI out. And this is TRS MIDI. So this is like a standard where you can actually plug a TRS MIDI cable that has MIDI on the other end, and you can control any MIDI device with this hardware or software. So that is another really dope function of the Launchkey. Now onto the key beds. Now I've never really been a big fan of like the micro keyboard key beds. They just always leave more to be desired. But I'm a piano player, like a real pianist. And I'm not saying anybody watching is not a real pianist, but you know, I play piano. So, you know, having this little micro keys doesn't really give me much to work with, you know, with the type of music and production that I do. But I've never really been impressed by micro keyboard key beds. But if I had to make a decision about which one I actually like the feel and the response that I get from the Launchkey over the Arturia. It just feels a little bit cramped and a little bit, you know, kind of, and I don't know, it's just something about the keys. Some people love the Arturia key beds on the micros. I personally don't. I feel like it just leaves something to be desired. The response doesn't feel, you know, as best. But now the noise of it is great. You know, they're not really that noisy, whereas these are a little bit more clicky, you know, when you're playing them. So you can take that for what it's worth, you know. But I love the feel. It feels a little bit more like responsive on the Launchkey over the Arturia. If I had to choose which one I wanted to really play on, it would be the Novation, the Launchkey, or what have you. Now on to the last point, and the thing that really is a deciding factor between these two, and that is the software. They both come with a piano software that you can use. Not that it'll really benefit you on these little bitty keys, but if you have other controllers, then it works for you. The Launchkey comes with the addictive keys. And the Arturia comes with UVI Grand. Both are really great piano softwares. They both come with Ableton, so you don't have to really look for anything on that. Now, this comes with their Analog Lab Lite version, which has a bunch of sounds. And then this comes with some of the Novation sound packs and things that they have. So they both offer like some good sound selections. And honestly, the software that comes with them is really comparable to each other. So what you're really looking for in this is the level of control, the portability, and the functions that it's offering outside of software, because you're getting pretty much the same, almost identical software packages outside of Analog Lite over here, but you know, that's a subjective thing. So if I had to choose a winner in this, it would be the Launchkey Mini, because it just offers the best bang for buck, in my opinion. It has the MIDI out, so you control both hardware and software with this. You got transport controls, you got the portability factor, the key bed feels great. It's got all of the little, you know, hardware, you know, kind of dependent buttons that you can do stuff outside of software with it. So it's just a great board, whereas the Arturia is just a little bit more big and bulky and heavy. And it's just really meant to be in my opinion, set stationary in your setup. I wouldn't, just because of the weight and the bulk of it, I wouldn't carry this around a lot. This would add a good 3 to 4 pounds to my bag. You know, when I put this in my backpack and carry it around, it is a tank. So this would be something I would just leave stationary in my setup on my desk. And utilize it for, you know, auxiliary stuff and things of that nature. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Some people may prefer the Arturia over this, and that's fine. That's just what we do. But I hope this video helped you. I hope it blessed you. I hope it gave you some insight into these two keyboards and which one is the best and which one you want to spend your hard-earned dollars on. Speaking of spending your hard-earned dollars, if you decide you want to buy either one of these, there's an affiliate link in the description of this video. I'll also put it down in the comments. If you decide you want to buy any one of these, just use the affiliate link down there. It helps out the channel, gives a little kickback to the channel, allows me to keep buying keyboards and things like this to do reviews on. So I appreciate your support and appreciate you doing all those things. And do all those things that you do on the video. Hit the like button, the share button, turn on notifications, please, so you get notified when I drop new content. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'll talk to you on the next video. I'm out. Holla at your boy.